hormones. I first heard about bioidentical hormones from National Public Radio. They spoke about France using estriol, which remember is that liver clearance, very mild. It's like 80 times milder, considered non-toxic relative to estradiol, which is a strong estrogen. And they're using it in Europe, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I would love some of that, but couldn't get my hands on it. So eventually this wonderful woman, a pharmacist, managed to get it into Arizona, and I started working with using a little bit of bioidentical, which means a hormone that it is synthesized, usually from soy, but it's made to be absolutely as if your own body made that molecule. So it's identical, and the body completely understands and can read that chemical hormone. So basically, we had estriol suddenly available and started to be able to use it maybe 25 years ago now. And around that similar time, a little bit later, there was a hormone test that researchers had been doing for about 50 years, I say about that, where it's a urine test. And because it was looking at hormones in the urine, you could see the breakdown of all these different estrogens that I had learned about in school. In conventional medicine, when they're looking usually just simple for hormone levels, of course it will be a blood test. And the blood estradiol is actually the only thing you can really see well in the blood test. Anyway, the urine test started to be available. I could watch how hormones were either how the woman was making for her own hormones, or if she was taking something, how it was being metabolized in the system. And I began to see that this test really gave a lot more accurate way to safely use hormones. They also added, which is wonderful, I love adrenal hormone measurements in the urine. So not just the different estrogens and progesterone, but it will also check things like DHEA, cortisol, cortisone and their breakdown products, testosterone, about 6 of its breakdown products, and something called pregnenolone. Over the years of using the test and using the various bioidentical hormones, what I've learned is that not only, of course, the idea is that when women are going through menopause, they really just need a little bit of hormone replacement for symptoms over maybe 5 years, and then they're done. What I've found from watching the testing and from all of the intake and feedback with women over many years is that really you can't just suddenly cut people off of hormones, because these hormones are managing your whole metabolic physiology. So if it would be as if someone had to use thyroid hormone, and then they say, okay, you get thyroid hormone from 50 to 55 and you're done. And then suddenly they have all the symptoms and disease process that you would have from suddenly not having their thyroid continued. Well, in the same way, when you're looking at the use of these bioidentical hormones for female hormones or adrenal hormones, you'll notice that everybody has different amounts of hormones. So it is not one size fits all. You really do need to look and assess where is the woman's hormone level for a particular item, and then find out whether they need it or not. There are some very fortunate women who I've had 2 patients over the years that I know they had complete hysterectomies, so no ovaries, and yet their adrenal glands, which in postmenopause really takes over, taking care of a lot of the hormonal balance. Their adrenal hormones were strong, and they made all of the amounts of estrogen, progesterone, DHA, testosterone, everything that they seemed to need in a very nice balance.